Now, rural development itself has got different branches and different streams. It has been realized that if farmers directly sell their produce to the consumer, the emerging alternative marketing channels will also try to talk about. So somewhere down the lane, they are trying to move away from the core farming. Good morning and welcome to the session 4 on chapter 6, rural development. We have been speaking about the agricultural system and its marketing process in the previous session. In this session, we will continue about it and we will try to expand into the various sectors that are involved in the agricultural market altogether. Now, rural development itself has got different branches and different streams in terms of the developmental concept. So let us try to explore the various areas that are needed and that needs to be looked upon in terms of the economic value also. Let's moving forward. The topics that we are going to cover here are the emerging alternate marketing channels, that's in terms of the agriculture, diversification into the productive values and systems, and then we are also going to talk about animal husbandry. So quickly moving forward, we are going to now try to understand about the emerging alternate marketing channels. Now, if you see here that it has been realized that if farmers directly sell their produce to the consumer, it increases the share in price paid by the consumers altogether. Now, why this is important for us? We are now trying to make you understand the concept of direct selling. For a farmer, the produce that he comes out with and what he produces is of a higher importance value rather than to a wholesaler or to a retailer. Why? Because the farmer knows the value of his hard work, the farmer knows the challenges that are involved in terms of producing that particular crop or that particular agricultural product. So when the farmer is being given the chance, given the opportunity to come out and sell the product to the consumer directly, automatically it will make a big difference. It will make a big change in terms of gathering the value. Now, so that is where we see that in some of the channels, some of the states like Punjab, in Pune, in places like Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, in all those centers, we have tried to come up with something called as the Apni Mandi or the Raitu Bazaars, all those kind of factors where we are trying to make the farmer come directly and sell his produce to the consumers, which means he will be getting paid directly for his hard work and efforts. We do not want middlemen to come in between, disturb the channel, disturb the input that the farmer really deserves to get. So that is where we are trying to bring in those kind of factors where the farmer can go directly and reach the consumer, sell his produce at the best value possible. Now, moving forward, the emerging alternative marketing channels will also try to talk about several national and multinational food chains that are available in India who are increasingly entering into contracts and alliances with farmers, encouraging them to cultivate farm produce, that is vegetable, of a desired quality by providing them not only seeds and other inputs, but taking them from a premium value. Now, I would like to give you an example here, which is very, very important for us to understand. When you look at McDonald's, when you start looking at Pizza Hut, or when you start looking at Domino's Pizza, all these multinational food chain companies have understood the factor that for all the agriculture produce they need, it might be a tomato, it might be a corn, or it might be an olive, whatever the products that are used as ingredients in terms of making a pizza is being now directly procured from a farmer. How do these chains do it? They go to the farmers, they give them the best inputs in terms of seed, in terms of the directions of how they need to be grown, and they are directly taken by these companies at a premium rate. So for the farmers, it is two-way beneficial. One side, his produce is not going to go waste. The other side, he is going to get a premium rate for his produce. So his buyer is also fixed and his process is also fixed. So that is one of the great amount of improvement that you can see in the rural agricultural system altogether, where we are seeing that most of the multinational companies are showing interest in terms of rural development, in terms of growth modulation altogether. Similarly, if you start understanding here, such arrangements will help in reducing the price risk of the farmer and would also expand the markets for farm products. That is very true and natural. Why? Because for a farmer, he needs to get it into his mind at any given point of time, he should not be at risk. His product should not go for a loss. He should be covered from all angles as far as possible. So that is why we always say that the farmer needs to be given the maximum priority in terms of growth. So somewhere down the lane, the farmer needs to be given the maximum priority by covering his value, covering the foods and everything, so that he is able to gain and he is able to take it forward altogether. Now, moving forward, diversification into the productive and into the production zones altogether. Now, if you start seeing here, what we want to see is that we want to see a diversification happening that is going to shift from the workforce to that of agriculture into the allied sectors altogether. Now, you see that many a times diversification will involve two kind of aspect. One side, it is from the diversification of crop production, and the other side from agriculture to allied, which means non-agricultural activities also. The need for diversification is happening because from the fact that there is a greater risk depending exclusively on farming for livelihood. Many a times in India, it becomes so relevant that just by doing farming, I'm not able to survive. I'm not able to run my family. My family is not able to get sufficient income because farming is not providing me a livelihood to sustain. So somewhere down the lane, I start thinking, I'm worried. I go back and I tell people that I need to find out alternate ways of production, alternate ways of growing altogether so that my farming is not affected at all. Now, when I look at that diversification, I'm doing it in order to avoid the risk. I'm not doing it just because I want to go out of farming for once for all. I want to look at alternative channels that can help me in terms of earning my income and not disturbing my regular way of life. So that's why we say that diversification towards new areas is essential, not only to reduce the risk factor in agriculture, but also to provide a productive, sustainable livelihood options for the rural people. So somewhere down the lane, that sustainability, that I can still continue to survive even with certain conditions in agriculture, even during the times when agriculture does not really give me benefit. That is the factor what farmers are looking in today. So somewhere down the lane, they are trying to move away from the core farming to non-core activities and areas which can provide them with sustainable benefits in the long run. Now, moving forward, much of the agriculture employment activities are concentrated into the Kharif season. There are two things we talk about, the Rabi crops and the Kharif crops. Now, therefore, the expansion into other sectors are essential to provide supplementary gainful employment. So somewhere down the lane, the farmers have also started thinking how they can get some valuable outcome in terms of gaining some meaningful employment somewhere, so that apart from farming, they also have some sustainable livelihood that can make them run the family. Here the focus will be only on allied activities, non-farm employment activities. Let's talk about menial jobs. Let's talk about some skilled labor, some kind of work which will actually help them to keep the rural background as well as make them exposed to the city life and get them some kind of work. So that's why we see that emerging alternatives of livelihood through there are many options available if you are going to talk about on that. Many of the farmers still want to keep farming as 20 to 30%, and 70% of the time they want to focus on some livelihood kind of things like a small scale industry, a cottage industry kind of thing. If they get an employment there, they will be able to sustain and they will be able to run. So still what we see is that the confidence in farming, the confidence in taking agriculture as a mainstream activity and sticking to it for lifetime is reducing because of the risk factor that is involved there. People are now getting to the factor, people are now getting to the level saying that they will not be able to continue as farmers for lifetime. Moving forward, as agriculture is already overcrowded and major proportion of increasing labor force, it is very, very difficult to find the labor force because most of the people now think that agriculture will not be the real source of income. If I do the same kind of labor in a city, in a construction site, or in a hotel, or in some service area, I will be able to make more money rather than just doing farming or a labor in a farm. So that is where people are moving away from farming, trying to see some diversification, trying to see some alterations altogether. Now, a non-farm economy has several segments, and some of it possess the linkages that permit healthy growth, while others in subsistence, low productivity and proposition. So which means to say that apart from the farming activity, there are certain areas, the non-farming system, which talks about high growth as well as low growth altogether. So somewhere people have to make a choice whether they want to sustain themselves within that particular sector or they want to go out and see those high areas, high options, though they are risky, but yet the outcome is on the higher side. The dynamic subsectors include agro-processing, food processing industries and tourism, etc. Now this is one sector in India which is picking up very well. India being such a diversified country with a lot of tourist places and a lot of tourist activity, people want to come out of agriculture and they want to step on to tourism, they want to step on to agro-processing, processed foods kind of thing, which will help them to get more money. So farmers are trying to understand that if we shift from farming to that of non-farming activities, will there be a greater livelihood? Will there be an opportunity for us to earn more? Will there be an opportunity for us to drive us more? So those are the factors that are coming in terms of growth, in terms of understanding altogether. Those sectors which have potential but seriously lack infrastructure, the support include those traditional household industries like pottery, crafts, handlooms, etc. Now if you look at these sectors, though they are very good, they have a lot of scope, but the most unfortunate thing is that there is not enough push that is coming in from the market, there is not enough push that is coming in from the government side to market these items, to take up these items altogether. So somewhere down the lane, it gets stuck, it gets completely bottomed out, and so people want to see the growth happening altogether. So it is very, very essential that we start focusing on this industry and we start growing with it. So that is how people are interested in terms of making money in this particular sector, in this particular area. They want to come out of the farming and they want to see the non-core sectors, non-core farming sectors where they will be able to make better perspectives for themselves. Now, moving forward, animal husbandry, another area that is quite related to the farming sector, but it's a very, very interesting thing where you're going to talk about rearing of cattle, goats, sheep and so many factors altogether, because these are yet a revenue generating center both from the meat processing industry as well as in terms of the livelihood basis. So livestock production provides an increased stability of income, food, security, transport, fuel, nutrition and so many factors to the family. So if you see in India today, many of the people will start seeing that livestock option growing in terms of rearing of pets or in terms of rearing for meat all those things provides a greater income stability rather than just looking at it as just a profession. So somewhere down the lane, farmers have also switched their option from agriculture to livestock production. Today, the livestock sector alone provides an alternative for about 70 million people, and there are so many laborers who are working under this section. So you see that agriculture is able to provide multiple opportunities, multiple areas of thrust. That is making the sector even more interesting and even more viable altogether. So people want to look into different sectors, different areas where they will be able to see the significant rise in income and stability of income also. One factor which I would like to talk about is that a significant number of women also find employment. So somewhere down the lane now, agriculture has even accepted women. Of course, there were women workers in the sector right from the ages, but still, livestock is another sector that is opening up a lot of job opportunities, lot of employment opportunities for the women so that they can also support the family and lead a sustainable livelihood. Now, moving forward, with this, we come to the end of this session. I hope and believe that this session was interesting, informative, and useful in terms of the rural development. In the upcoming sessions, we will also try to learn about what are the different factors that are governing the rural development altogether. Until then, stay tuned, stay blessed, and stay enlightened forever. Thank you once again for joining me today.